There's a significant number of kids in Springfield who are not ready for kindergarten, and tonight we start our special report, Ready to Learn, a joint project of KY3 and the Springfield News Leader. Here's KY3's Ashley Reynolds with more. Ashley.
A Springfield study finds 1 child out of 5 lacks the social, emotional, and basic academic skills expected when they first go to school. Administrators say resources are thin and the need continues to grow. Chalkboards are out, smart boards are in. Point to the dinosaur for me. Preschool is a different game than it was just 10 years ago.
The world is very different now. It's not the same kind of work environment that we're dealing with. It's not the same kind of culture that we're dealing with. And so the expectations in the K-12 system are significantly higher than they were when you or I might have gone to kindergarten.
A few years ago, what we would have seen in first grade or kindergarten is now coming even lower down into preschool.
We have kids in classes right now that will have jobs in the future that don't even exist right now because technology is constantly changing, and the way that our world is changing, we have to stay right on top of that.
Training tomorrow's students means knowing how to spell your name, some of your 1, 2, 3s, and all of your ABCs before kindergarten.
How old are you? You're 4 and you know all your ABCs?
Educators say kids should also know how to conduct themselves. In Anixa Preschool, kids practice good hygiene.
Now, why do you cover your cough?
So it doesn't spread the whole class and they don't get sick.
While basic academic and social skills might not seem like a big challenge, educators say it's critical to build a solid foundation before kindergarten.
What are those numbers?
6 and 3.
What we do know that we didn't know then is about 90% of a child's brain development occurs before age 5. And so we're missing out on an essential piece of brain development.
For nearly 30 years, Springfield Schools has helped kids be ready to learn through parents as teachers, the Wonder Years, and special education services. All are supported by federal and state funding. Wonder Years is a preschool for qualified families with academically at-risk kids.
Just felt like she needed some extra help that I wasn't able to help her with. And since she started the Wonder Years program, it's been a huge improvement. She's definitely prepared for kindergarten, and she's so excited about it.
Last year, Wonder Years had 24 classrooms. Now that's down to 17. Funding and a growing school district are to blame.
We're out of space.
With no room and limited funds, a group has formed a coalition called the Every Child Initiative. It's exploring ways to help each Springfield child.
I really think many of our students don't have what I would call fair opportunity to learn.
Springfield School Superintendent Norm Ritter considers early education a priority. He says the coalition is aimed at filling the gap, helping families who don't qualify for services and cannot afford high-quality preschool.
May have a totally different dimension or a look than you're going to find in a typical community in some other parts of the country.
If we work together, that we could meet the needs of all of the families within Springfield.
And as Springfield leaders search for the answers, we are too. Next Sunday, we'll show you a successful pilot program in Springdale, Arkansas. For the next 3 weeks, you can read the Springfield News Leader and watch our stories online, along with web extras at ky3.com.
Experts say so far too many Springfield children are not prepared for kindergarten.
An Arkansas town faced the same problem, but now apparently its kids are ready to learn. KY3's Ashley Reynolds continues her special report in partnership with the Springfield News Leader, tonight showing us a pilot program that's moving 4-year-olds to the front of the class.
Well, it's not just about getting ready for kindergarten. Research concludes children who go to preschool will be more successful in life. Some experts say it ends the cycle of poverty and keeps kids away from crime. We traveled to Springdale, Arkansas on a learning expedition to show you what's working in this community.
What kind of cereal do you think we have the most of?
We wouldn't have a quality pre-K if we weren't here.
Okay, does anyone else have a heart? No.
There was a need and folks stepped up to the challenge.
And a lot of our kids leave here reading, and they're at the top of the kindergarten classes, and then as we track our kids, we find that they stay
in the top of their classes.
Kindergarten teachers literally fight over the students that come out of that program.
Gold. Leprechauns have pots of gold.
For 7 years, Springdale's preschool program has filled the gap by making sure all students are prepared for kindergarten. The program targets low-income families.
Because it prepares them so much more. My oldest son didn't have any preschool, and he is behind. But my 6-year-old had been here last year, and he is about a year ahead.
Do you remember that story?
Springdale is just a few miles north of the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. It has a high Hispanic population, and many families use English as a second language.
I just wanted him to be prepared.
Jacqueline Munoz's 5-year-old son Jordan is ready for school.
Now that he's been coming to pre-K, he's learned more English, and he's also teaching his dad.
A population that's typically underserved is now getting the chance for success.
Well, he's saying that one of the great things that he's noticed, talked about the fact that one of them wants to be an architect and the other one wants to be a doctor. So they're being exposed to these things, and they actually are striving to achieve these accomplishments for themselves.
Can you spell your name?
Preschool is the most important time in a human being's life.
That's the mindset, but they've come a long way.
No, it wasn't embraced totally when it was first implemented.
The babies on the bus go win. Arkansas has what's called a Better Chance program. The state will put up about half the money for a preschool if the district foots the rest. At Springdale, the school district does pay a portion, but so do community partners. Walmart is a big supporter. Educators say making a preschool like this means the entire town has to be involved.
We also have to have schools ready for children, and communities ready for children, and parents ready for children. Everybody has to be ready to learn.
Can you tell me what are some more healthy foods?
Apple. Clean up.
There are other building blocks in this school's success story. All teachers are certified.
Okay, let's put a timer on.
Iceberg.
Kids have classroom time and playtime 5 days a week.
Kids spend more than 2 hours every day in these centers. Educators say it really helps them with structure, and it also teaches them social skills. What are you playing with?
But perhaps the biggest factor,
Tell Mama bye and thanks for helping us out.
Parents play a key role.
I would tell parents that they're not just going to send their children to school, but they're going to go to school with their children.
Parents are required to spend time helping in the classroom. They must attend parent-teacher conferences. The mission is to give all children a chance with community support.
It makes a difference that I cannot express to you, but it's a difference that is critical, and every child is deserving of that opportunity.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And of course, the program is not perfect for every child in the preschool. There's another one on the waiting list. Administrators continue to look for funding so they can add more classrooms. Now, over on our website at ky3.com, you can click on the Ready to Learn section, and there you'll find extended interviews with our early education experts. You can check it all out, ky3.com.
It's a growing problem, and educators say it's time to do something about it. There's a significant number of kids in Springfield who are already behind when they start kindergarten.
Seems hard to believe. Tonight in our Ready to Learn special report with the Springfield News Leader, we focus on how community leaders are starting to come together to try and find a solution to all this. Once again, KY3's Ashley Reynolds. Ashley?
Research shows for every dollar you spend on early education, there's an $8 return. Making sure kids are ready to learn will take time and money, but educators believe it's an investment for our future.
They're only 4 years old, but teachers believe this is their big chance.
We can either set the stage for learning and for the love of learning, or we can destroy it.
Are you going to go to kindergarten next year?
Yes, I am.
Are you ready for kindergarten?
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
But I haven't seen what it looks like.
Experts say this is the most important time in a child's life.
Catching things early. There are a lot of times when we notice students who in the later grades are struggling with different things where we'll trace back and find that they didn't have preschool or they didn't have some kind of early childhood education experience.
Research shows children, even at the age of 3, benefit from preschool. Some experts say our education system should change. If children started school when they were 4, more would graduate from college and fewer would end up behind bars.
And we'd see a total shift in the way that children come out of the whole school system.
Look at the lion.
Some school districts in the Ozarks are leading the way in providing early childhood education. Nixa Schools has one of the best programs in the state. Still, a lack of funding means not every child is given this chance for success.
We have extensive waiting lists every year for our programs and would love to be able to meet the need of the community. We have definitely way more kiddos that want to come here than we can serve, but we just don't have any space.
In fact, 200 Nixa kids are on a waiting list for only 60 spots. Other programs are not expanding and instead cutting back. A sequester is forcing OCAC Head Start leaders to eliminate nearly 200 spots.
If you learn, you have good opportunities. If you don't learn anything, you don't have nothing. I pray every day that my kids can do better.
We've got lots of classrooms where kids are on the waiting list and they're never going to get into Head Start even though their family qualifies.
Well, what is this?
Just a game.
The same goes for Springfield schools. While it doesn't have an open preschool program, the district has what's required by the state for at-risk kids. 24 classrooms were reduced to 17.
I really think many of our students don't have what I would call fair opportunity to learn.
Back in 2005, there was a push to provide early education to low-income families in Greene County through a sales tax called the Community Safety Initiative. It failed.
13, 14, 13, 14.
Experts conclude access is the problem. Even if a family can't afford preschool, it doesn't mean there's a spot for their child. President Barack Obama touted preschool in his State of the Union address, wanting to spend $75 billion in the next decade. Educators in the Ozarks support the idea, but question the spending.
The questions we're going to have are, what does that look like? How will that be funded in the future? And how will we sustain that for a long period of time?
I think in our case, we feel like we need to take responsibility as a community. It breaks your heart. I mean, it's not fair. There's no fairness in the notion that 20% of our kids aren't going to have a chance.
It's depressing, and I think it also correlates very highly with the dropout rate at the other end.
A Springfield group has formed a coalition called the Every Child Initiative. It's exploring ways to help each Springfield child.
We need action. We need to do something.
The group plans to work with families, educators, and local businesses.
Everybody has a piece of the solution. We all need to be talking about this because how we take care of our children directly affects our economic development 15, 20 years out.
Bye, guys.
And this week, Springfield leaders are coming together for a town hall meeting to discuss this important topic. You can watch the meeting on the Ozark CW Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, you can watch and read all of our Ready to Learn stories on our website at ky3.com.
Are our kids ready to learn? The push to expand preschool education in the Ozarks. A special town hall meeting presented by KY3 and the Springfield News Leader.
Good evening and welcome back, and thank you for your interest and your concern in early childhood education and the issues that go with it here in Springfield. I'm Lisa Rose.
I'm Ethan Voorhees. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight, but we're going to begin with a startling fact, and I think throughout the evening we'll probably have a lot of startling facts that you will hear. The first one is that 1 in 5, 20% of children in the Springfield area begin kindergarten not classified as ready to learn.
What a horrible place to start. And tonight, as we look at the problem, we're also going to look for solutions, models of success maybe in other communities. We want to take a closer look at that and how we can improve our early childhood education here in Springfield and get those kids ready to learn when they show up for kindergarten.
We are joined at this town hall, as you can see here, which is, we should tell you, a joint effort by KY3 News and the Springfield News Leader, by various members of the education community, as well as Springfield civic and business leaders, the people you see here in this room with us tonight, and we're grateful that they're here to share their ideas.
And as always, we're inviting you to take part in this. Join us on Facebook, that's KY3's Facebook, to tell us what you're thinking about and share some questions too. Making a child successful takes a lot more than one teacher in one classroom.
And nobody knows that better than Springfield School Superintendent Dr. Norm Ritter. We're here with us tonight. Thank you for being here, Dr. Ritter. Let's start off with that stat that we began this broadcast with, that 1 in 5 kids in the Springfield area is not classified as ready to learn. That seems startling to me.
To be honest with you, I think it's even a little bit more. But, you know, in the next couple of days, we're going to graduate 1,800 kids, students, and we're very excited about that. But they're all at different levels. And really, we should be graduating about 2,000. And really, when you look over their career in school, we're talking about a lot of interventions to help kids keep up or catch up. And there's a lot of money that's being spent to help kids catch up so that they eventually can graduate. Really, the benefit we have with the early childhood is education is that they're ready to learn going into kindergarten, and we find that they're at reading level by the time they're in 3rd grade. So therefore, the interventions aren't necessary.
Showing up, who are they? Who are the kids who aren't ready to learn?
That's been a question that we've been asking as early childhood educators across the city for a long time. We've done quite a few studies trying to find out who those kids are. We've interviewed parents as they were coming in to enroll, and we really have a wide spectrum of families that aren't, of the children that aren't coming in ready. But one of the things that we're finding in common are the families that are really having troubles finding affordable care and being able to identify high quality care.
A lot of our kids come in, they're not ready to line up. They have a hard time getting along, and so those are things we have to build in them before we can even start to educate them. And so if you're working on those things, it's huge and crucial to your classroom and being able to make sure everyone gets to the end proficient and ready to go on to 1st grade.
We just heard from the teachers and the superintendent. Another person who knows about that from the family angle, the parental angle, is Doug Pitt with Care to Learn. Doug, you deal with these sorts of people in these situations, these circumstances, a lot. What can you tell us about how it relates to pre-K education?
Well, we all know in the best of times it can be tough running with small kids, and unfortunately we don't always get to choose what life brings us, and there are tough times as well, and we all need a support system. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's greater. We know that support system needs ebbs and flows. And so that's why I'm really excited about this from an innovation standpoint, to have this many people, these many organizations working together on this fix. I got to tell you, when I started hearing about the early childhood movement, you know, our organization works from pre-K to seniors in high school, and I can't say I bought on it right away, but as I studied the statistics and read on it, I'm a believer. And so we have a really finite window there that they've got to be reading statistically by 3rd grade.
They had this program called Kindergarten Roundup, which I think helped my daughter a lot to adjust to going into kindergarten.
We want to know what you're saying on Facebook and the questions you're asking here. So Ashley Reynolds is with us in the studio to bring us more on that.
Yeah, we're starting to hear from folks at home. A lot of parents are starting to chime in, and they want to join in on this discussion. We're hearing from some parents just telling us their stories about how they don't qualify for a lot of the services, yet they can't afford to send their child to preschool.
And to be more specific, we read some statistics that kind of blew our minds, that from the Department of Corrections, that people are more likely to be in prison if they haven't had early intervention. We've also read that people are more likely to delay childbearing, that they are more likely to finish school and even go on to college if they've had pre-K.
Right.
I mean, does that surprise you?
There's a lot of dynamics around that as well, because the parents and also the child did get early childhood. That also means that there is some environment there that's really very powerful.
Social environment again.
Social environment that really just not only starts there, but it stays with them throughout their life.
Educators say making the investment in early childhood education pays off, and then some. For every $1, there's an $8 return for the economy. Fewer kids end up behind bars in special needs classes, and more go to college.
Good job.
She doesn't know it, but it's a big day for 4-year-old Eliza Roebuck.
I just told her we were going to go to her big sister's school, and she was going to get to play games with teachers.
Is the next one? Can we make it here?
She's taking what's called the DIAL test. It's a screening for preschool. Educators are evaluating her motor skills, object identification, and use of language. Her mom, Katie, plans to enroll her in the new preschool with Branson Schools.
I think that we have such a short window to make good decisions for our children in that early childhood age. And I feel like for our family that sending our children to preschool is one of the best decisions we can make.
Research does say that if we can intervene early with children, whether it be at home or at school, the likelihood of their success is much greater. And so that's our goal, is to have them kindergarten ready.
Butterfly. Branson educators decided to expand their early education services thanks to community support.
We knew that the demand was great.
Administrators are planning for about 4 classes. Parents must pay tuition, a cost Roebuck considers an investment.
I would love to hear that she's, meeting all the appropriate milestones and that she feels confident so that, again, when she enters kindergarten, she isn't behind.
You can see a big difference in our kiddos that come into kindergarten. You can almost point them out. The kids that have had early childhood services.
I want her to have just a positive school experience, love learning. By sending her to preschool first, I think she has that advantage.
So is your child ready to learn? Well, we have a list on our website of what children should know before they go to kindergarten, and you can find this in our Ready to Learn section on our website at ky3.com. You can see the huge list here, things like assemble an 8 to 10 piece puzzle and walk forward and backwards on a straight line, and of course say the ABCs and know your first name and last name. And again, ky3.com. Lisa?
Well, that's advice parents can use. Ashley Reynolds tonight.
A lowercase d. I bet you can do a good job.
Kelly Williams says when she was looking at preschools for her son Reed, she wanted more than just the academics.
Since it plays such a big part in our life, we definitely wanted that to be a part of his curriculum.
She wanted to make sure Reed is in a religious learning environment.
It's just kind of nice as kind of a safety net, I think, for us.
She's a stay-at-home mom, but still wants Reed to go to preschool.
Honestly, I'm mom. I'm not mom and teacher. It's not like we drop them off and we don't know what a portion or a part of their day is. We're in contact with his teachers.
I just really believe taking them where they're at and growing them to where they need to be.
Teacher Andrea Lovelace used to work for a public school. She says faith-based programs like Carpenter's Kids are a great option because they still provide kindergarten readiness with a religious focus.
I love the aspect of the Christian, the faith-based school. And once a week we have a Bible theme and a Bible scripture that usually goes along with what we're learning about.
When we had troubles, the teachers were wonderful about coming to me and talking through the situation, and we would discuss what to do as a team. And I really enjoyed how I was part of the process.
Rebecca Fincher wanted to make sure both of her kids got this experience.
I wanted him to learn more than just at Sunday school about his faith. I wanted him to be around others who believe the same faith that we did. So that way, from early on, he would learn about Christ and how important that is in his life.